let's go back to Marvelous, right?
Yes, sir.
Because it was recently revealed that he had actually impregnated at the time, but was a minor.
Okay.
And
I heard about that.
He claims that she was presented to him she wanted to get a tattoo, and she gave him a fake ID, and then it kicked off from there, right? So he's saying he was under the impression she was of age, but he's getting a lot of backlash because about a year ago he had tried to expose American Cholo for being on paperwork, which was fake, of being with a minor.
Wow.
So people are getting on his ass because it's like, you were over here tripping on AC about this when it was fake, but you really did that.
Yeah. So that's why and Marvelous is a follower of the Bible. Marvelous believes we the Israelites. You know, the scriptures speak about hypocrisy, throwing stones essentially if you live in a glass house. So you shouldn't even have barked up that tree knowing that could come back to you. You shouldn't. You should never do that, because even if you feel like you could explain the situation away, and then mind you, you're dealing with Southside politics. Good luck explaining that away, right? Period. I don't see too many people really buying that anyway. But even if you feel like you could explain it away, and oh man, that she had a fake ID, whatever, you should have never threw the rock at American Cholo. If you knew that could, you see what I'm saying? Like, you should never do that. You know.
Can people like that still be accepted in God's kingdom?
Yeah, but it depends, right? It depends on the situation and turning from it, right? Like, once you recognize, okay, I shouldn't have done this. Now, again, it's a nuanced situation. It's a difference between somebody who, he might have crept with a 17-year-old when he was in his early 20s, versus a nigga who's a full-fledged
grown adult,
full-grown 30, and he's touching like children, 12, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And I don't want to convolute it too much, but we all got to be reasonable and rational. There's a difference between, you know, somebody who's 19, 20, 21 and a girl who's 16, 17 versus somebody who's 30 and 40 and like a real little kid. We know there's a difference. I'm not saying either of them is good or should happen, but there is a difference. So if you were the nigga that was 21 and you was picking up the girl from high school, and now you 30 going, I shouldn't have did that. Okay, for sure, you good. But the nigga who's the sicko who's really preying on kids, ain't no place for him.
So would you say it's safe to say some form of pedophiles are accepted in God's kingdom if you did it with the intention, right? If you did it with the intention of, oh yeah, she's a minor, then nah. Yeah. That's out. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, if it's like
but
that.
But if it's kind of like a slip up, like how you're saying.
Like a slip up, like what they would call hebephilia, where it's not like a pedo, like a child, but it's somebody who's further developed, closer to adulthood, and you also are not far from that. Because if you're 30 picking up the 16-year-old, nigga, there's no justifying you, bro. There's none. But if you're like 19 and, like, for example, if you're a senior and she's a freshman and y'all start dating, now you out of school, I mean, bro, you could go get a girl your age. You're fucking up, but you're not as bad as the nigga that's touching his niece, though.
Right. So how does Grla Hebrew feel about Marvelous? Are you giving him a pass, or is it all bad?
I can't give him a pass. I've heard about it. I've seen about this much about it. So I'm not going to all the way throw Marvelous out. I got to make diligent inquisition. But, hey, if he's guilty and he's playing, because what I'm worried about is that he's playing. And when I say playing is, he's not being real with the details, and he's trying to do some cover-up shit. And it's like, if he's playing, we got to make an examination. You know what I'm saying? He got to go to court, essentially, you know, and a verdict got to be drawn. But I seen even before this, like, one of the older Montevideos was like pressing the issue with him on YouTube, like, oh, he not from the turf no more, whatever. So I don't know. It seemed like a lot of people are trying to politic on him. So I'm not going to necessarily join the quote unquote hate train, but we do got to get to the bottom of that for sure. For sure. Marvelous
has for sure been in the headlines these past 2 years. I found out about him because he had actually called out Lucky, because he subscribed to the same beliefs you do. He believes that if your father isn't of the Israelites.
Oh, because Lucky, his dad is German, right?
Jewish, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, from Hood Stocks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't believe that Lucky is, quote unquote, one of the chosen people?
You know, I don't believe Lucky is an Israelite. No.
Do you have some type of, because he is around a lot of our people, right?
Yeah.
like, how do you feel about, like, do you consider that a culture vulture at all?
No, because he still grew up in the culture. Like, even so, there's like viral clips of Israelites saying, "Oh, Bob Marley isn't black because his dad is white." What I would say is, well, it's Bob Marley is black, clearly, right? But he's not of the Israelite lineage. So people got to understand that we got these names blanketed upon us, and then we have what God, classifies us. So sometimes we convolute those things because they're not absolutely interchangeable. Like, there are people that are considered black all over the world that we wouldn't say are Israelites. When we say black people are Israelites, we're talking about the people in the diaspora that came on slave ships and some of the people in West Africa. We're not talking about all people who are considered black at that point. You see what I'm saying? So when we do that, that means people could be considered Latino or considered Mexican, even when you understand how the Mexican government classifies what a Mexican is. It was anybody born in Mexico or who descends from people born in Mexico. So you don't necessarily have to be from that indigenous lineage to technically be considered Mexican. You see what I'm saying? So in that regard, I can't say he's a culture vulture. He clearly grew up in the culture. He's clearly from a barrio, all those various things. So I wouldn't call him a culture vulture, but when it's all said and done, he's not of that lineage.